Today's question is, if my baby has torticollis, will my baby develop a flat head? That is the question we're answering today that came in for me. Now, if we've never met before, my name is Cherrick Gordon. I've been a pediatric physical therapist for over 2 decades. You send your questions to me and I answer them live on the air. So the question is, if your baby has torticollis, first of all, let's talk about what torticollis is and then how torticollis can possibly develop into your baby having torticollis as well as a flathead. So, torticollis simply means twisted neck. Torticollis is the fancy name for it. Now, twisted neck means that your baby's neck looks kind of like this, where baby's head is tilted to one side but rotated towards the opposite direction. That's the classical definition of torticollis. Now, for those who are not sure if their baby has a torticollis or what torticollis even is and how you name the torticollis by the side of the tilt. So this baby, I'm tilting her head towards her right side. So that will mean that she has right side torticollis. Now, here's the plan. I'm going to share with you what torticollis is, what flathead syndrome is, what the technical name for it is, and I'm going to give you a couple of strategies and techniques that you can use to help to correct one condition, which will help you to correct the other. So correcting the torticollis or relieving your baby's tight neck muscles can also help to prevent flathead syndrome or plagiocephaly. This parent is correct in being concerned about torticollis possibly causing her baby to have a flat head. Now, let me talk about a little bit about the mechanism of how that would actually work. Now, if your baby has a right side torticollis and their head is tilted towards the right side and rotated towards the left side, that means that if your baby is lying down, that baby's neck is tilted this way and the head is rotated in the opposite direction. Now you can see that baby is now, if baby has a tight neck and baby's head keeps rotated in one direction, as baby is laying there sleeping or napping throughout the day, baby's head will always be turned in that same direction, and that can cause a flat spot to develop on the back or one side of baby's head, which is exactly what flathead syndrome is and what this parent is concerned about. So the question then becomes, what can a parent do to help to correct torticollis and to prevent flathead syndrome from happening to their baby? So one of the stretches that I'm going to show you, I'm going to show you a couple of stretches and a couple of positioning techniques that you can use. Let's start off with the positioning techniques, because the positioning techniques are actually easier and simpler to implement, and they help to gradually correct the flathead syndrome and correct the plagiocephaly pretty much at the same time. Now, a couple of things that you can do for the torticollis. One, if you're putting your baby into bed, you can see from my table here, if we pretend like my table is your baby's crib and you have your baby in the crib, you can see that my window is over in this direction. Now, if your baby's preference is to turn their head in that direction because of the tightness in their muscle, and their muscle is pulling their head to turn towards that side and look towards the window, now the window itself is encouraging your baby to kind of lean into the torticollis, and that will kind of reinforce the torticollis. Now, here's what you can do, a simple repositioning technique. Every time you put your baby to bed, you simply turn your baby around in the opposite direction. So now baby has to, if she wants to look out the window or she wants to look at any decorations on the side of her crib on this side, she would have to turn her head in the opposite direction to the side of her torticollis. I think the same thing can be said for anything that you are putting on the side of baby's crib. Most of the time, all of the things that are lined up along the side of baby's crib the baby will look at are on one side of the crib, especially if the crib is up against the wall. And so what you can do is every time you're putting your baby down for a nap, you simply rotate baby and put the head in the opposite direction. And this will cause your baby to rotate her head equally to both sides and begin to relieve that torticollis gradually over time. Another simple technique that you can use when you're putting your baby down for a nap, you can use a rolled up towel. We always want to put our baby to sleep on their back and keep it safe. So what we can do is put a rolled up towel right next to the side that you don't want baby to rotate their head towards. This will not violate any of the safe sleep practices, but it will prevent your baby from turning their head and gently dissuade your baby from turning their head in the direction you don't want baby to turn their head, to the direction that they typically like to turn their head because of the tightness in their neck muscle. When you're playing with your baby, you can also use a couple of different techniques to help to gradually correct your baby's torticollis and help to prevent the flathead from forming at the same time. One of those techniques is to simply use something like this. This is a small boppy. And what you can do is take your baby, put your baby on their tummy, on the boppy. I like to tuck the legs down inside the boppy like this. Let me flip it around so you can see, and tuck the legs down inside the boppy so that baby's head is up on this part of the body, her chest is on the upper part of the boppy, and she's not really bearing a whole lot of weight. What I also like to do is to use one of those toy mirrors and put the toy mirror in front of baby so that baby can lift her head up and look at her own reflection in the mirror as baby is laying there playing. I like to prop something like this up so that baby can look at herself while she's lying on tummy time and lift her head up and begin to look at herself in the mirror. So these are a couple of simple techniques that you can use to help your baby to overcome torticollis and also to prevent your baby from having a flat spot on the back of their head. All right. That's today's question, my friends. Thank you so much. I will see you in the next video.